having a chat about what's going on for us, what's going on for our clients, our partners, our friends, and how that links to the work and the purpose that we're focusing on in humanizing work, which is so important in terms of that golden thread of the human experience now more than ever. So I'm really happy again to be joined by Ant, who we keep having these fantastic conversations, and I love the fact that we're now doing that live, and it just literally feels like I'm having a Friday morning chat with you every morning. How are you doing?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, not too bad. I haven't got my cup of coffee and I haven't got the sunshine streaming in. So it feels weird. It feels like it's not a Friday. It's midweek. It must be, because Friday Live is always cup of coffee and sun streaming in.
It is. And actually in Brighton, we've had a lot of sunshine recently, haven't we? So we're very lucky, but I think the plants need it. So fingers crossed that it'll all come into bloom. And hopefully next week, with things lifting, we'll all be able to enjoy the outside a little bit more. And in talking of outside, obviously nature has been the theme for Mental Health Awareness Week this week. There's quite a bit going on. There's talk of, strong economic growth, which is definitely welcomed, along with the springing into step. Feeling that things are opening up, things are shifting, but cautiously, and being vigilant to anything that might get in its way. And this week, I guess I'm thinking quite a lot about motivation, and the situation that particularly a lot of our clients and friends are in terms of returning to work or actually starting new work. I think many people have either been furloughed or have actually chosen to move roles. Some companies that are growing quickly are expanding and recruiting new people in. And even for those people just going back into exactly what they were doing before, it's going to feel, to a certain extent, quite different and quite like a new job. And I think what I was really keen to talk to you about today was just, how do we keep our mojo when we're just quite tired? We haven't had much time for ourselves. We've been through what's been a hell of a year. And actually keep going. And it is something, as I said, mojo is kind of the word for me. It's not about like motivation. It's not the theoretical stuff that I normally talk about. It's kind of that, what is the thing that gets us up, and what's getting in the way of that?
Yeah, and we talk a lot, don't we, about purpose and meaning and how that drives and motivates people. And we ran the live sessions, the Humanising live sessions, and a lot of that was around how do we translate that? How do we communicate our purpose and our brand and our mission to motivate us? Actually, what I love about the word mojo, and about, I think, what we're going to talk about today, but like, what I love about it is it's the more day-to-day, how do I just find that spark in me again? And it's not to say that it's gone, but maybe today I'm struggling, or maybe today, things are happening at home, or maybe things are happening where I've entered a new workplace that was my old workplace, but now I've gone back into the office. So now it feels completely new, and I'm meeting new people for the first time, or meeting old work colleagues, but I'm doing it face to face this time. There's so much happening for clients and people right now. How do I find that spark, that mojo, that lease of life that is really important to put out into the world at the moment?
Yeah, and it is different than just motivation, isn't it? So like, if I was motivated to if I wanted to get in shape because I was going on holiday, and I wish I was going on holiday, but yeah, if I was motivated to get in shape to go on holiday, then that would be like, I get up in the morning, I put my trackies on or whatever, and I go for a run. That's not about mojo. That's just about like almost like the technical aspects of like motivating myself to do something. I know how to do it. I know what to think about. Almost like, and there's so much out there, self-help stuff to help you get motivated.
Yeah.
But there's something there, isn't there? That's like, it's like that life thing that is so difficult to describe.
Yeah.
And I've really noticed, in a lot of my friends and my peer group who are 40s, dare I say, and parents, and a lot of working parents, and particularly working mums who data shows have more responsibilities, that they've just lost it a bit. They've lost that mojo, that kind of like, it's not that they don't have good jobs. It's not that they don't want to work. It's not that they don't want to do what they're doing. But there's a spark, exactly that. What's the thing that's not there? And people are saying, you know, they feel fatigued and they feel, you know, they're languishing. And I'm thinking, goodness me, like, this is broad. This is not just one or two people. This is a lot of people I'm talking to.
Yeah.
How are we going to help people get their mojo back?
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's probably many different elements, right? So what can the person do to take ownership of it? What can the team do to support each other to find it and notice it, and to create an environment where that mojo happens more frequently? Because it is about fun. It is more about play. It is more that element than as you said, a motivating goal that you're trying to achieve. What are you doing as a leader to facilitate that environment and encourage it? Because play is often really difficult. I find that really difficult, actually. So because I'm quite results driven, I like achieving. I feel good when I achieve something. So when play happens, it can sometimes feel very different. It's not natural for my own style. Play can sometimes look like, well, they're being distracted, or they're not working hard towards that really important vision and purpose of humanizing the world of work, and that's not, and leaders need to really recognize that and be empathetic and facilitate play. We went beach swimming, for example. Beach swimming, everyone goes
sea swimming
at the beach. We went swimming like in Brighton at the middle of the coldest time that it could possibly be. It's things like that. How can you live life? And we've talked about this before. How can you live life while being at work? You know, that's important. Don't wait for the weekend. How do you bring that life and it is life. It's the little dances that you do in the office. It's the little slapping of doors as you go through them, because you feel great. There isn't necessarily loads of, as you said, definitions of what that mojo is, but you can see it and feel it when it's around and when people are feeling it.
It's so this, gosh, so much in this, isn't there? And Sally, you're absolutely right. Cognitive and emotional overload. So kind of firstly, certainly from my experience, the last year has been so overloaded and so draining. And there has been no capacity, absolutely zero space for what I would call joy and joyful moments. I've had to work hard to create those for my family, for my friends, for my work colleagues. And I think there's something about the fact that when that happens for a long extended period of time, because I've had that before, you know, everyone has ups and downs and life challenges where you don't feel very happy for a while, but like actually noticing that you haven't actually felt joy for a long time, it's almost like, how do I learn what actually makes me joyful? So there's part, certainly for me, and I think this is really potentially tied to a lot of the data that's coming out about working mums being fully burnt out. It's not about not just about flexi time and giving them more time off to recover. It's about time for me. I have had demands on me as a mum that I never anticipated. And I'm quite happy. I was in it for the long run, you know, like you are as a parent, you know that people are going to need you for all things. I'm used to sleepless nights. But the demand for me, my attention, my being in someone else's world continuously is just so draining. And then when you don't have those moments of joy, of actually what brings you joy for yourself, it's like, I think you can lose yourself a bit, which is so, I hate that phrase. You know, people like going off traveling to go find themselves, but it's never meant more to me now. And I'm thinking like, well, I wonder how many other people are kind of experiencing that as well. And I love what you're talking about in terms of the play and the humor piece. I'm not a very funny person, but I adore being with funny people. It just makes me, it's like the whole world kind of like everything drops its shoulders and you just feel it's okay, actually, this is great. We've had some really lovely comments coming through. I'm glad you're joining us again, Sally. It feels like you're a regular. So we've got time and space for imagination, creativity, absolutely. And someone here is talking about spark being engagement and excitement about what you do. That's it. And that emphasis on the you. And that's what I think is really hard for some people to kind of remember or to work out what is it about me and what I like doing. And I've changed in a year. How do I find out what actually makes me happy and joyful now, not what you make me happy?
Yeah. And there's a huge difference, isn't there? And even this week, kind of talking about it with different members of the team. And, you know, there was a really great comment. We're running some workshops at the moment internally to trial some of our new stuff around team goals and motivation, and how teams can do some of this stuff, right, more practically every day. And there was a good question, a really good point raised around internal intrinsic motivations, and whether you're an introvert, extrovert, or wherever you are on that kind of scale, and the different personalities. So someone's joy may to someone else not look like joy, right? I've just exposed what felt like joy to me, having a dance and slapping a door and feeling great and going for a swim. To others, it's actually just really quiet 5 minutes. 10 minutes on the beach somewhere, and they maybe don't look to someone else like they're joyful, and so you get all the questions of, are you okay, how are you doing? Actually, that person's loving having some quiet. So it's a really interesting kind of conversation. I guess everything that we do, isn't it, is around having a conversation. Go out and find out what do people look like. And maybe that's a question for the team. If you're watching this and your team is there, what is your mojo? What does that look like when you feel great? What are the things that you do around the office that people can start picking up on? And that's obviously difficult if you're remote working. So then having a conversation of well, what does that look like, and how can we know that you're feeling great or you're not feeling great? I think your point around working mothers, I think, is a really interesting one, because we've had conversations about it, haven't we? And I don't have kids, so it's a really interesting world that I just could not even remotely understand, even if I tried. But trying is the point, having the conversation, understanding, learning, and trying to know what everyone around you is experiencing behind the scenes, almost, that you might not realize.
And working mums are actually leaving the workforce in droves right now. So people are either changing jobs or actually just saying, I can't do this, I just need a break. And I think it's just a really interesting point, because if someone said to me right now, you know, oh, take a break, that would probably be a very negative thing for me. Like, because I'm the buzzy person. I get joy from the buzz, the people, the energy, the things that are going on. To have that all taken away, I would be literally a very unhappy person. So it's kind of exactly that, is how can we help people who are, like, you know, not themselves. I think that's one thing I guess I can kind of describe it. Is kind of like, just when you're not yourself quite, and you know someone's not quite themselves, how can you support them without making assumptions that they need time off, or that they need counseling support, or, you know, that maybe actually, you know, they might want to go and, you know, go for a run with you on the beach, or go and watch a show, or go to the cinema after this weekend. We can start going to various other things as well. So it's just kind of, I think organizations are doing so many amazing things to support people's well-being and their mental health, but sometimes it's all quite serious. And I kind of like, actually, I feel like now a lot of people I know need a lift. They just need a lift. They need something to like go, oh yeah, actually I remember what joy is. I remember what I love about being with people. I remember what I love about seeing people face to face. Because, you know, you can forget. We've been in isolation for a really long time, and some people very sheltered. So how do we help people kind of recognize what it is that they love and not take it for granted again in the future? You know, I certainly did. And when I came back into the office, I was like, oh my goodness, this is great. Like, I didn't realize there's just this magic stuff around people that I couldn't like grasp and get a hold of. And it's so lovely. So I'm really interested in how this relates to purpose, actually, because we talk about purpose and meaning all the time. It's core part of the PERMA model. It's integrated into all of our tools. We've got workshops on it. So that's still a bit heavy now.
Yeah, it feels it. I've felt it myself. So my purpose and the reason that I'm at Bailey and French is because I'm hugely passionate about making work slightly better every day, right? And humanizing it, making it more about the person and the human, so that work isn't that thing that we dread 9 till 5 and then we have our life on a weekend. You know, that's not what I believe in. But that's almost too big right now. How do you know that you're getting closer to that goal? And sometimes it can feel quite overwhelming if that purpose and passion is too much, which is why I think, and it's maybe the difference between, I've been thinking about this, it's the felt experience, what you feel every day, versus the remembered experience, which is when you look back on your career and what you've achieved and how much you've contributed to that purpose. Right now, people are needing a kind of felt experience, which I think is what you're talking about, where it's, I feel good today. I feel good. I don't know why. I think it's because I've done X, Y, Z, but it's definitely because I've seen that person have a funny laugh on the radio this morning. And I just feel good. And I think it's about how can organizations and leaders and teams and each other just tap into that a little bit more. Purpose has a place. It definitely has a place in terms of helping people understand why they're doing what they're doing, but I don't think it's everything. And I think the everyday felt experience is more important right now, actually.
And it's really interesting, isn't it? Because I think certainly what I notice in organizations is kind of like when a new topic comes along, organizations almost hurl themselves at it to be the best. In that area, whether it's employee engagement, whether it's, well-being. And I can see, obviously, I think we're hurtling towards a purpose era. And what's the danger almost of doing that and pushing it too much? How do you feel if actually you have a bad day, but your purpose is really strong? Do you feel like do you feel guilty that you're not kind of working towards purpose every day? Yeah. And that's important to make sure that it's, for me, it's just this balance, everything in perspective. Like it's one of a number of things that helps us feel good about ourselves and about our work. It's not the only thing. Yeah. But lots of people are using that currently as a bit of an inner compass to guide their decision making around what they want to do next and where they want to be. And the market is, shifting. People are moving around a lot, and great, that's a good talent shuffle, right? Everyone's shuffling their strengths and learning to use and transfer them in different ways for things that are perhaps more meaningful. That's not the only thing, is it?
I think when you look at the data around the impact that your manager and your team have on your everyday felt experience at work, and then the knock-on effect of not just your satisfaction in the role, but actually your satisfaction every day and your emotions every day, and therefore the impact on retention. And a lot of our clients at the moment are talking about lost knowledge. So obviously retention being a big problem, and onboarding costs are a huge thing, but actually the lost knowledge is huge right now because of the shift that's happened in the last year. So for some companies that have been around for years and years and years, sometimes that lost knowledge isn't as important as what it has been in the last year, where actually business models have completely shifted. There isn't anything necessarily written down and properly processed. You're relying on great people to have the knowledge of, well, we're doing this because of this, and this is a change that we did because of the pandemic and rah, rah, rah. The lost knowledge is so critically important that this felt experience, I think, is the difference between, a recruiter picking up the phone to you and you going, yeah, let's talk, and not. And you go, no, do you know what? I'm actually quite happy today and I'm feeling good and I feel like this company's looked after me. And I think when we look at retention of key talent and the importance of that right now, I think that everyday felt experience and that playfulness and that environment becomes ever more important.
So you've totally opened up a new kind of portal in my brain for a bit of a tangent, which is great. I love it, because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, you're right. yes, we have lost knowledge in the workplace with people moving around a lot. And I can't help it but think sometimes that's positive, like, because it allows innovation and creativity in people to try new ways of doing things without being held back by all the things that have been there before. Yeah. And so for an agile organization, actually, it's helpful. And what does that mean for our daily work in terms of picking up with right where we are right now and not focusing entirely on what's happened before and how that's led to this point. Reflection and history is important, but actually being able to completely lift up and try and do something else again. We've talked about teams jumping into Swift Trust and teaming in lots of different environments and being part of lots of different teams. It's in the now stuff, which is really important. So that then led me to think, God, this is quite a long thing while you were talking, but that then led me to think, well, we're recruiting at the moment, so I'm interviewing people all the time, and I absolutely love it. I love meeting new people anyway, but hearing about their strengths and what they've been doing and their experiences and successes is so fantastic. And every single person I speak to, I go back and I look at the profile of the role that we've kind of pulled together, and I think the person is the thing. It's not the role. And I wonder whether this new future of work could actually work towards people and almost forget the roles entirely. It's like, who are you and what can you bring that we need to do? You tell us what you're going to do to help us on this journey and this become part of this story. And so it's less about replacing roles when you have vacancies or you're expanding, and it's more about who is it that's going to come in and bring their life experience, their skills, their everything, their energy. And what is it about them that's going to make our story stronger? Yeah. And I'd love to be able to work in that highly ambiguous, spontaneous environment where there's not, structure, but I'm off the scale in terms of liking that kind of thing. And lots of people need the detail.
You can see my slightly more structured brain going, no, I need all. But you're absolutely right. I do think, wherever there's a retention challenge, there's an attraction opportunity. And kind of the felt experience is still, though, so important, because for that creativity, and I think Sally mentioned it on a comment earlier about creativity and innovation, that freedom and that psychological safety to invent and to actually do what they talk about at interview actually sometimes comes down to that everyday felt experience. If you go into an environment where you feel a little bit like you are losing your mojo and that felt experience is a negative one, you're not going to be very innovative and creative. No matter how much intention you bring into the organization, your action over time is going to be slightly different. So yes, absolutely, it's an opportunity, and it's even more important. You're absolutely right as to why people need to focus on this felt experience.
And maybe interviews are much less about kind of prove it and much more about tell us your story. What has got you to this point here? Why do you care about being part of this? Do you what is it that you really need at this stage in your life? And life stages is another thing that's kind of really been interesting for me to examine over the last few weeks, but certainly again with interviewing people, and you speak to people and they talk and relate everything to the life stage they're in. And that probably needs to be more prominent in attraction and recruitment processes within organizations to ensure that human experience, because there's certainly in our organization, it wouldn't be worth us sitting down talking about menopause right now, but it might be worth us sitting down talking about maternity. And it's just like making sure that you're playing into the life stages of the people that and what matters to them right now, and being able to relate rather than cover everything off, if that makes sense. I know we want to be inclusive and make everything available to everybody. I absolutely firm believer in that, but targeting and specifically supporting the things that actually are going to be more relevant to the people that are in particular groups or departments and working together is so important. We talk about this a lot, don't we? So offering gym membership or what have you I don't go to the gym. So, and of course, that's a really entitled and millennial thing to say, right? But I didn't want that amazing thing that you've just given me. How dare you? But I think the point
that we're trying to make is exactly the one that you just said. It's, as a leader, as a team, think about those things that your organization is making available to people across the organization. And we need to listen and be attentive to those things that maybe, because of who we are or our own experiences, that we will never even know exist, and be aware of, right? Unless we go out there and have the conversations with people, to make sure that we're giving those felt experiences and freeing up people who are having those difficult times and those little life moments. And maybe it's a perk, not for forever. Maybe it's a perk for that moment, that year, that moment. But yeah, the organization is showing that they care, right? And that's the point.
Yeah, flexing the opportunity, and offering choice and on-demand choice for people is certainly fundamental for the large organizations that do, have a huge variety of people with different needs and wants too. So yeah, totally in that space. Yeah. So I'm sitting here, my brain's buzzing now. You've got me set for the day. Thank you for my mojo moment. And I'm like, right, so how can we inject some energy and some fun and some play into our Friday with everyone in the team today? I'm thinking,
pressure's on now, because the team will be watching this going, all right, then, are we finishing at 12 today?
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because like my daughters are 10 and 11, but my youngest one is very much into pranks at the moment.
Brilliant.
And it's all about watching pranks on YouTube and TikTok and things like that, and starting to prank other people and dare people. And it's actually, there's some things that she's doing that are rip-roaringly funny, seriously. And I'm thinking, why aren't we doing more of that stuff at work? They really could lift some stuff. So I'm interested to see what happens today. I think there's a little bit of that kind of mischievousness in everyone that helps to, as I said, break the ice, bring things to life, recognize that it's not all that serious. It's okay. We have had some very serious issues to deal with personally and work-wise. Lots of people have. But how can we still try and tap into that human fun?
Yeah, I think so. And it's, how do we take the pressure out of the pressure cooker a little bit? Not loads, because we know high performance, it's that arousal curve. We need pressure to perform at our best. But knowing at the moment there is so much change, that actually a lot of the time that you can go from 0 to 100 very quick, right? That pressure can go from I'm feeling lost to, okay, I've got clarity and now I feel super under pressure within a split second. And it's just about taking stock and checking in with each other and creating those playful moments. And I think for senior leaders and for business owners that are watching this going, yes, but we're looking at 10% growth in that new, we were talking about this last week, weren't we? But we've got a new market that if we don't go into, we're going to be under. We're going to be potentially under and not even have a business. I think the important thing here is we are doing this, and this environment will help your people and help them to thrive. So by definition, we're kind of catching the burnout before it happens, right? Because the worst thing that would happen is you continue the way you're going with the high pressure and the high performance, and burnout will happen eventually. You'll change less, you innovate less, etc.
And the impact of burnout, obviously, we know, is that your body remembers the physical trauma and is more sensitive to future pressure points and takes you back to the same level of depth of burnout, even if future challenges aren't anywhere near as difficult.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's quite serious. Your body almost like remembers the kind of like, oh, and then can, a trigger can take you to the same emotional space. So knowing that, and knowing that exactly that, as you said, proactively, strategically supporting people to be well all the time and to be able to respond really well to challenges and be more resilient is absolutely beneficial for people's long-term mental health and well-being. So we do need to be careful how we do that. And we've run out of time. So a serious note to end on, but mojo and pranking, I think, is going to be a feature for today. So watch out, Bailey and French people. Maybe some clients we could bring into that as well.
We've got to be careful now for next week. I'll check all the mics, the seats.
No whoopee cushions around. That's quite a lot. That really dates me, doesn't it? Anyway, listen, Sally, thanks for joining us. Your comments are wonderful as always, and Anna, thank you, and everyone else who's watching and listening. We've really enjoyed our Friday live session. We're probably going to be having some guests coming on this soon, so please do tune in every Friday 8:30 GMT. I was going to say GMT, and we're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and our podcast is available on Spotify. So have a great Friday. I hope you've enjoyed it and you've got some fun ideas to think about for the rest of the day, and have a lovely weekend. Take care.